are here. I can't. There. Can I hear myself? No. No, I can't. Can I hear my? You can hear me? I can't. There we go. All right, we're here. We're live. I managed to make it in here into studio. I don't know how. It's been a weird weekend, starting with a Saturday night, and somehow I managed to make it into studio just in time. It was just a weekend of slumber. I was, of course, Sleeping Beauty right here, Brian Crawford in the flesh. This is River Talk. I'm here with Michael Cohen, broadcasting on the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. And I just slept the entire day. I had all of these plans, all of these goals, all of these ambitions, but I just couldn't get out of bed. So yesterday was just a day of chaos, and I left work, went to the bar, bitched about work, and then I came in here, I did a show, and then I left River Talk yesterday and went to another show. And I did back-to-back shows. It was an amazing experience. It was called Backseat Guitar, and it's with Brian of the Red Line. So it was Brian and Brian with a bunch of musicians. And we actually had Lady Jessica and Sun Hound. So these articles they're pre-recorded. They're going to be coming out. They're in the backseat of this guitar, and Jessica's there with a full keyboard, playing a keyboard in the backseat of a guitar. Well, Nicole was there playing percussion. It was crazy. So I get done with that, have to drive out to the north side. I'm there for Fringe. I ended up not getting home until 6 p.m., laid on the couch till about 11, and then I crashed. And I didn't wake up until around 5:30 this evening. So that's, 12, 30, 40, 50, 60, that's like almost 20 hours of straight sleeping. And I woke up for like a brief intermission where I stumbled my way into the bedroom and slept more. And I think I'd still be asleep if it wasn't the sweet voice of Alexa waking me up from my slumber. I know you love Alexa.
It's time to wake, Brian.
Well, I set the alarm for Alexa, and I kept snoozing. And that was the thing. I really woke up maybe around 4 p.m., and I kept snoozing my way till 5:30. And my phone was dead, so I couldn't get any of my messages, and I just kept sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. And honestly, part of me wishes I was still sleeping today, right now. But that's okay, we're here. We've got lots on the show today. It's going to be a lot of fun, so it is good that I woke up. We have the Neon Swing X-perience in studio. We're going to be talking with them about their upcoming show, which is going to be on the 13th, the release party. And then we also have Lady Jessica as well. She's going to be here, too, from Sun Hound. We're going to be talking about the Indie-Rockfest, and she's also performing a few times at the Millvale Music Festival as well. So she's going to be here in studio. It's going to be lots of fun. Looking forward to all of that. But let's roll into some of the news. There was a really interesting story that came out, and the Department of Homeland Security wants to track all media personnel. Did you hear this?
No, like what counts as media personnel?
People like me, big shots in the media, really important, influential people. They want a list. Apparently there already is a list of really influential top people in the media, people like myself and people like you. You're here on this show.
I'm certainly on Homeland Security's list.
Yeah, so we're on the list because we're top people in the media. You may be on the list for some other reasons as well. But the Homeland Security wants to gather this list. Apparently it's not their list, and they want the list, and people are in an uproar over this. And the quote that they came out with on Twitter from one of their personnel, it says, "Despite what some reporters may suggest, this is nothing more than the standard practice of monitoring current events in the media. Any suggestions otherwise is fit for tinfoil hat wearing. Black helicopter conspiracy theorists."
What is their reason for wanting this list? And I guess I'm very interested in what do they count as media people, like actually? I mean, I was half joking, but not really.
I mean, I would consider myself a top person in the media. I imagine I'm on the list. I would hope I'm on the list. Otherwise the government is really backwards, and they have no clue what they're doing, and then we have nothing to worry about.
I guess what I'm asking is because during the inauguration protests, they arrested and charged with felonies a number of journalists, and then tried to argue that those people weren't journalists. They were, in fact, activists who ran activist news sites. And so I guess that's what I'm trying to understand.
And this is coming from the administration that had a guy who ran Breitbart as a
right.
top advisor.
No, but so to me, that's what that reeks of is wanting people to register ahead of time as media, so that when they scoop you up in a dragnet thing at some event, they know what your alliance is and whether or not you count as a journalist.
I don't think this administration, I don't think they're going that direction, because this administration hates journalists. So maybe I could see them coming up with a list of journalists so that way they can find them and arrest them. I feel like that would be more in line with this administration's mentality in the fight against the media, because they're in. And to give them a little bit of credit, I think they're crazy on a lot of their fights with the media, but to give them some credit, the media doesn't really do them. They really don't make it very difficult for them. A lot of the media.
Well, no, I mean
with our corporate media world.
It's a double-edged sword. The media actually is garbage.
It is
the problem. Their job is very important,
except for us,
and we need them to be able to do it with the utmost freedom. And they traditionally do a piss poor job.
They do a horrible job,
and that's the problem.
And they do come out with inaccurate statements and incorrect news and things like that. I mean, and then they'll blatantly put something out there that's not accurate, and then they'll come back and say, "Oh, we retracted it. We're okay. We're ethically fine."
Yeah, I mean, having been
instead of having the due diligence to just check it in the first place and make sure that they're right instead of worrying about being first.
Yeah, I mean, having been part of activist groups on the far left for years, I've been slandered in the media several times.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and even when you call them out, they'll run a retraction. Which have you ever gone to the section of the newspaper on retractions and been like, "Oh, I wonder what they retracted from last week"? No one's ever done that.
No one's done that. No.
They're like, "Oh, there were retractions on page 9."
In today's world, that means so little, because everything with social media, it goes viral so quickly, and people have already made up their minds, and people are so set in their ways in today's world. As soon as they see something that they agree with, it's automatically the truth, and no retraction is going to sway them from believing that is true.
And they're never going to get it. No retraction is going to get 100,000 retweets.
No.
Yeah.
And they don't really do they don't put it on the top page or anything. You know, the incorrect story may be on the front cover, but the retraction is going to be on page like 20 or something like that.
Yeah, New York Times headline news: "We wrongfully slandered redacted tonight journalists," right? Like, no, of course not.
No, it's not going to happen. So, who do you think is on the list? Who in Pittsburgh do you think is on the list as a top influencer besides Brian Crawford? I'm thinking people like Sally Wiggins. She's definitely on the list as one of the top people in the media, top influencers. Is there somebody in Pittsburgh that you think would most likely be on the list?
I mean, Jeff Conkle's on DVE a lot. I feel like he's
probably
on
the list.
Yeah, they probably got some of the folks from NPR who aren't Pittsburgh locals, but it's broadcast here. I'm sure 1A and probably Mark.
Well, I'm talking local journalists, people who are in Pittsburgh that are at the top of their class.
There's someone here who works on Marketplace. I met her at a Passover event the other week, so probably her.
Okay, so you think she's on the list?
Name eludes me, but yeah.
All right, I'm thinking Sally Wiggins is probably on the top of the list, and then Brian Crawford, number 2. That would be my guess for top media people in Pittsburgh. Sally Wiggins is everywhere, and I always count myself as a true musician, even though I haven't played it in years and years and years, because Sally Wiggins
I was hoping you were just going to say an instrument.
No,
Okay.
I'm a true musician, because even though I haven't played in a long, long time, I had one show at the Benedum Center where I had a very, very small part. I was on for
play
one
the triangle?
scene. No, I played the trumpet in The Music Man, and Sally Wiggins herself came and sat in the front row to watch that performance. So, because of that instance, I feel like I've made it.
Nice.
So,
what else is in the news?
Well, here, actually, we've got Neon Swing X-perience here. Has Sally Wiggins ever gone to see you guys perform?
That's an honor that we have not had. So
See, that's what I'm saying.
Congratulations.
See, Sally Wiggins herself, she came, sat in the front row, and came and watched me do a show.
Andrew Stockey interviewed you.
Andrew Stockey has interviewed us.
There we go. See, he would be on that list, I feel like. Do you think Andrew Stockey would be on the list of top media influencers from Pittsburgh that the Department of Homeland Security would want to know about?
I'd put Pittsburgh Dad ahead of everyone.
Pittsburgh Dad, probably.
Pittsburgh dad.
That's a good point.
But I
he's
remember.
not. Is he a media? Is like he like a journalist though? He's more of a.
I mean, he's
Comedy
not
routine
No,
guy.
but I was just saying half jokingly, but yeah, half like
Yeah.
But I recall a time actually at Needs Hotel in Lawrenceville. You were in the front row at a Neon Swing show.
That's true.
If I remember that.
So that
correctly.
is like
So, you
right
know.
up there with Sally Wiggins. Exactly. I
Yeah.
was there.
So
Actually, I
you
was
were
like
up there.
all over. I was in the back. I was in the front.
That's right.
Because you guys were playing outside at
You're
the
right, yeah.
amphitheater, which is amazing.
Oh.
I didn't make it there.
You know who? Sam Leonard. Sam Leonard, top of the fucking
Sam Leonard.
list.
There we go.
you
No, behind Sally Wiggins. Nobody took up Sally
no,
Wiggins.
I mean that's
Oh,
at the
he's up
top.
there. Yeah, he's up there with me. But I mean,
didn't mean to
Sally
tip
Wiggins
top.
is kind of in a class above the rest of us. I feel like even me, as the moral compass that I am, and having that humble backbone, I couldn't bring it to myself to place myself above Sally Wiggins.
Sure.
I feel like that's just an honor I can't claim.
But that's a plug. If you like news, check out Sam Leonard's
Yeah, there we go.
podcast. I'm not going to tell you which network it's on because it's not ours.
It's on Epicast. It's fine. We're friendly. So, yeah, so you guys have this big show coming up. This is another big news. See, and this is why this hot conversation right here is why Brian Crawford has ascended his name to the second place in the top media influencers here in Pittsburgh. It's
Yeah.
because I talk about big issues like the album release party, which is going to be Friday the 13th at the Hard Rock Cafe.
And I think anytime you have Neon Swing on the show, I mean, the media star just keeps going up.
That's what I'm saying.
Definitely,
Maybe maybe I could get like on par with Sally Wiggins after tonight's show. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, but it's on Friday. It's the 13th. So this Friday coming up.
I didn't even think about that until you said
know.
Friday the 13th, and it is on Friday the 13th. Was that planned?
No.
Well, you had said send a couple dates, like you pick from these dates, and I was like, okay, we'll go with. I'm like, probably shouldn't do that. So I think I had picked like the following Friday, the 20th, but then it came back like everyone's availability. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, Superstition's just that, superstition. I mean, you believe it or you don't. So
Yeah. And so, we played Friday the 13th before, and it's always gone well. So
Yeah.
I
You get
figure,
any
why not?
crazies on Friday the 13th?
I think we pretty much get crazies at any show.
Any show?
No
Any
more.
show we play, we're going to have.
every show we
It
play,
happens.
there's a full moon.
No more, something goes wrong. My car got towed a couple of weeks ago at a show.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was.
What do you do if your car my car's never been towed? What's the process? Do you have to go to the Pittsburgh courthouse or
Well,
whatever?
no, I just had to go to the impound lot after the show, and it was on Mardi Gras actually, and we were playing at NOLA on the square, and the band is in front of this big window, and I see my car is parked right behind this big window here, like right behind where the band is, and I see this tow truck come whipping around. I'm thinking, oh man, someone's about to have a bad day. And then I see them start loading my car on the
It's
trunk.
you!
And, and so
You're
I go,
about to have a bad
I go
day.
running out, and the band, kept going, and it was a good night.
Let's
yeah.
introduce everyone before we get too far. We got Mike
Fire
here,
away.
Wally, and Joe. Correct? Awesome. All of the Neon Swing Experience. So once I say your name, say something so that way everybody who's listening knows who you are. We've got Mike,
Yep, Mike. I play trumpet and vocals.
Wally,
Hello.
Joe.
I'm the drummer.
Awesome. Great. So, awesome. All right. So you guys have played at Needs Hotel. You've that's where I saw you recently, but you do play at NOLA. You mentioned NOLA. You play there all the time. That's like your home, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, we're there once a month. So there's really 9 of us in the band, but at NOLA we play as a 5-piece. And I think Joe is probably the only person that has played every single NOLA show, or at least nearly every. He's there every
one.
month. What's that?
Every single one.
And so the rest of us kind of rotate in and out. So
So how many people are in the band?
9 total.
9.
9 total. So you guys got this album that came out that you released. How difficult is it to round everyone up for not just? I mean, I imagine it's hard enough to get everybody rounded up for a rehearsal, but for an album release, you need everybody there. How long did it take to release the album? Because I just imagine it always takes a while, anyways. But I feel like with 9 people in the band, just finding a day that everyone could get together would be extremely difficult.
It's definitely a process. It's taken, well, all the tracks. I mean, some of the tracks were recorded, maybe a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think the oldest track is probably 2 years ago.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yes.
So it really did take a long time to get
Well,
everything together.
There's also 10 people on the album total because we went through a bass player change at that point.
Okay.
We have 2 now. At the time, we just had the one guy, and he unfortunately left. But it is definitely a process trying to get everybody together. Just to get 5 people together in the room for NOLA can be difficult at times.
I imagine.
And it's not even the full band.
But we've been doing it for 20 years, and so it's like it just becomes part of what you do then after a while. And we're excited that the full band's going to be there at the Hard Rock on Friday when we're going to release the album. So that's
great.
pretty exciting.
Wow, I didn't realize you guys were together for 20 years.
Yep. Yeah, it's our
That's
20th
crazy.
anniversary show.
That's wild. Yeah, makes me. I've been doing this for like 5 years now. I feel like I've been doing it a while. So.
Well, Wally has been in for, 17, 18?
17. It was like beginning of summer of 01 when I started.
And
Same here.
yeah, and so Joe's
17 years. I joined not long after you
Yeah,
did.
you were like not too long after.
and I'm the old person with the 20 years, and I'm the only person left with 20 years, and I think the three of us are the longest running members.
The Marilyn Manson of Marilyn Manson. Right?
Yeah,
Sure,
maybe,
why not?
sure.
The Joey Gestapo of Murphy's Law.
We just don't know when to quit. The three of us, I think. We just don't know when to give it up.
That's so cool. So you guys have played all over. Where's the most interesting place you've played? Where's the most? Okay, here's a better question.
Yeah, not most interesting. What's the
Go ahead.
What's the scariest place you ever played?
Yeah, we'll go with that, and then I have another one. But that's a good one,
Scariest
especially
place?
with the 13th coming up.
Well, I think for me the scariest place was we went to this place in New York, and it was kind of like it looked just like an old warehouse whenever we went in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
But it ended up being fine. I mean, it was just walking in there just seemed like kind of a bizarre place for a
you just
band.
had no
That was-
scary shows.
No, I don't think. I mean, we're a swing band. It's kind of like.
But that show, that was the one like where like we had driven around the block like two or three times. Like,
And we couldn't find
here's
it.
the address. I'm like, wait a minute, that's it.
This can't be it.
And it just looked like a blank, building front, and but we weren't. Besides us, there was like what,
There were a bunch of other bands and performers.
Well, they had
and-
some short, skinny girl like doing like gymnastics or something,
While we were
suspended
playing,
from
like,
the ceiling or something. I mean,
right above us.
yeah.
There was multiple acts that night.
There was
And
a fire breather, I think.
It was
that
a
night.
really nice night. It was just trying to find the place was very difficult because there was no indication outside of numbers on a door that you could barely see at that time of night.
Yeah, kind of like this place.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, what is the smallest place that you've played with the most people?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah.
Penn Brewery.
Penn
Okay.
Brewery, yeah.
We used to have 10. We squeezed 10 of us right there when you go in the door off to the side.
Well, in that foyer area.
Yeah, they used
Oh my
to,
gosh!
yeah.
Wow. When
It
you
was
said
rough.
Penn
I mean,
Brewery, I'm thinking that's not that small. But okay, yeah, the foyer
Well, I
area.
remember playing
yeah.
it was like literally like, right next to it, just like this. I mean, you had no room to really maneuver.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, because now, I mean, we're a 9-piece band. We have a rotating bassist, so really 8 of us typically on stage at once. Although we're going to change that a little bit on Friday at the Hard Rock, where we're actually going to have all 9 of us on stage. But yeah, I mean, so with 10, that was a lot.
Yeah, and even NOLA as a 5-piece is a little
It's tight.
cozy.
It's cozy.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It's it's a very intimate setting.
It is,
So.
yes.
Yeah, they have great food there too.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Cool. So tell me about the album. What's different? What's unique about this album?
Well, I think that for me, this album is kind of a snapshot of the band, and I really think that the way it evolved. We went into the studio probably about 2 years ago, thinking it's going to be our 20th anniversary. We got to put out something, And I think it didn't really have a direction at first, and so we just kept kind of chipping away at it little by little, and it just kind of evolved on its own, and it kind of ended up with a nice. It has a nice feel to it. It's, I think, different than anything we've done so far. It has a lot of
In what
different.
way?
Well, we have some songs on there that are very, I would say, traditional. Like we've done a Frank Sinatra tune on it. We have some ragtime marching style songs that are
that's
close to
cool.
100 years old. But then we also have songs that are a little bit more rocking in nature, a little bit funky. It's a neat collection of songs. We have a country 3-step waltz on there about the first show we've ever played out of state.
Oh wow,
And
that's cool.
Yeah, that song's called Thomas, West Virginia, and it's the first time we ever played out of state. And we've been working on that song for about 10 years.
That might be the scariest. Well, I don't know.
It's the smallest town, I guess, we played in.
Yeah, that's
definitely
true.
with about 100 people or so, more than that, I guess.
It's like 108 with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, so the show, just to recap, I'm going to mention it a few times so everyone gets the information. It's Friday, April 13th. That's this Friday. Doors open at 8:30. The music starts at 9, correct?
Correct.
So what's going to happen at the show? Is it just you guys, or do you have a few...
Just us.
Just you guys, all right. How long will you be playing?
Probably till about midnight or so. A little bit afterwards.
That's
So
crazy.
we're
That's
gonna
a
jam.
real
You know,
long set.
you're only 20 years once, right? So we're gonna try and jam it all into the 20th anniversary show.
And for $15, whether you have a ticket now or at the door, you get 3 hours of us. Your choice of the disc, T-shirt, or a hat.
The hat that Wally's modeling right now.
Oh, that's
actually.
true. Yeah.
Nice.
And and not only the 3 hours of us, but the first set is going to be the album live.
Yeah. Yep, so we're going to play the whole thing live, and it's we just rehearsed this afternoon. Actually, we came straight from there, and it sounds really nice.
So the album itself is 3 hours long?
Oh no!
Oh, okay.
Just the first set. Just
The first set.
The first set, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we're pulling out a lot of old favorites for the second set, and a lot of things we haven't done for a while, and some things that we're trying out brand new for the first time at the Hard Rock. So it should be, as Wally said, it's a 3-hour show. Plus, you get Neon Swing albums and swag, and so it's like all the Neon Swing you could ever want in your entire life is going to be there on Friday, April 13th. So
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Are we still doing the request thing, or is that pretty much filled up?
it's filling up pretty quickly, but we were doing a by request where people could tweet us or Facebook us or email us and tell us what songs, as long as it's in our repertoire, of course,
Yeah.
that they would like to hear that day. And so we actually have a couple of suggestions that we've already incorporated in the set list, and we're going to, if there's room, maybe even take some live that day, people that are actually tweeting and messaging us during the show itself.
That's
or
cool.
if they're so inclined to yell from the audience, whatever, such and such tune.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how did you guys come to decide on the Hard Rock Cafe? 'Cause you guys have played in many different places.
Well, it was one of those things where we had a couple of ideas for where we wanted to release the 20th anniversary. And the Hard Rock, although it's not a place we played like monthly or on a regular basis, it's been pretty consistent of a venue that we played at for at least, what do you think, Joe, 15 years?
Oh, easily.
So, I mean, probably for at least 15 years we've been there. And so it's like, we're talking about where we're going to play. And we had a couple of ideas. And then we just emailed each other back and forth and talked about it at rehearsal and said, where do you want to go with it? And it just seemed like Hard Rock was a good fit. We can fit all of us there. It's a
Comfortably.
Yeah. Without bumping
that's
into
one
each
nice
other.
thing, yeah.
It's a comfortable space. There's room for people that want to dance there, so we get a lot of dancers out at our shows. There's room for folks that want to just come and hang out, and so it's it's a nice space. It's a large enough space, and
The sound man there is fantastic.
Yeah.
They do an excellent job.
yeah, Josh, the sound guy there is fantastic.
He is.
Well,
Always,
when we first started, and we really started when we first transitioned from a podcast to a radio network, one of the really exciting things, it was like I was like a kid. I was real excited when I could get my banner hung somewhere. And I used to keep track of different places where the River's Edge banner was hung, and the Hard Rock was one of the first places that we had the banner hung, and I have these pictures of it. So it's a really cool space, and it's nice because you can, if you stand outside for a few minutes, you could see the river from the Hard Rock, which is nice as well. So it's going to be very, very cool.
they always treat us well there. So.
What's the number one thing you're most excited about with this album? Each of you can answer if you want.
Joe?
It's the whole recording process. I just really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you go into a studio, it's pretty much you have all the time in the world, basically. I mean, not legitimately, but you know that if something goes wrong, you can go back and try it again. It's not like when you're playing live, and if you screw up in front of 100 people, you've just screwed up in front of 100 people. Here, the guys pick on me, and in 30 seconds, I just do it again. And it's not a problem.
Nice.
So it's nothing to be worried about. It's a very calm, it's a very relaxing thing to do. Recording for me is a very enjoyable thing to do. Very much so.
That's cool, and it's neat to hear that perspective. Now, I'm not in a band where we record albums, but I know when I used to do this show and pre-record it, that would drive me nuts for the same reason, because I would go back and pick apart everything and redo everything a million times, and it would drive me nuts. Where when you're live, you just whatever it is, and you have to deal with it. So it's interesting to hear that perspective. Well, what about you guys?
Good, Wally.
I was thinking maybe the celebratory part of it, just the fact that it's 20 years, kind of a, well, I mean, obviously looking forward too, but the nostalgia aspect of it, looking back on the 20 years. I mean, we were talking about this on the ride here about all, with the relatively new two bass players we have, all the backstories and inside jokes that 20 years worth, they're never probably going to catch up on. I mean, as much as they try, or want to, but all those, fond memories, stories, things like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just getting getting people to hear the new CD, the new album, because it's one that I think is the most proud I've been of an album. It's one that I really think, for me, and I think for the rest of the band, really was a labor of love putting it together. I mean, it's the best sounding album we've put out. It has, in my opinion, the coolest track list we've had in an album, and I'm just really excited. You know, I've been listening to it daily, all the time, and I'm like, wow, and I hear something new, I'm like, that sounds really cool, and that sounds really neat. Where in the past, you know, I listened to one of our albums, I'm thinking, that's cool, but this one is the most excited about, you know, that I've been, and I'm just really excited that people, you know, after the show, they get their own copy of the album. You know, that's part of coming to the show on Friday. And I'm just really excited then to start hearing feedback of once people start listening to it, you know, after the show and what they really think of it. And you know, hopefully it's good.
Excited to check it out.
Hopefully they like it as much as I do.
Now, how much is the album to just buy?
15.
Okay, because the reason why I'm asking is you get there, say I get there on Friday the 13th. I walk in at 8:30 when the doors open, and I get that choice. Do I want the shirt? Do I want the hat? Or do I want the album? And then say you want more than one, then you could just buy the other one.
You get choices, And,
yeah.
And so, you know, the way I look at it is, it's kind of like you're really getting 9 performers playing for 3 hours for you free.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're basically buying the album.
Yeah, because the ticket price is $15, so that's the album itself right there. Yeah.
Exactly. So very exciting. You guys have been with the network really from the beginning. I think you guys are one of the earlier bands that we had signed on. So it's great to get you guys back here in studio. And I'm really looking forward to April 13th at the Hard Rock Cafe, 8:30 p.m. when the doors open. Any last thoughts before we switch you guys out?
Well, I just want to say thanks for having us, and thanks for always playing our music, and thanks for sponsoring the show on Friday, and we'll see you there.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. This has been... you had something else? No.
Just the weather forecast is supposed to be actually decent.
Oh, good.
It's supposed to be like 75 degrees or something that day. Maybe spring is finally arriving.
Maybe. Joe, anything
I really hope spring is finally arriving.
Yeah, I do too. So I'm not a big fan of the winter. So the quicker we can move into the warmer weather, the better. So that is going to be April 13th, 8:30 p.m. Doors open at the Hard Rock Cafe. This has been Neon Swing X-perience on the River's Edge. Michael Cohen and Brian Crawford will be right back. We're going to play the weird news music and run right into that. We've got Lady Jessica up in a little bit. And, of course, everyone's favorite news segment, The Judgment. All of that and more right here on the River's Edge. All right, we are back here at Mr. Small's Theater on the River's Edge Radio Network. Michael Cohen, Brian Crawford, and we have not just one, not two, but 3 weird stories to keep them on Monster Bay, where we single-handedly save the city of Pittsburgh from total destruction. And the first story I have for you has to deal with people helping animals. That's right. Instead of humans terrorizing the environment, we've decided to give back, at least to one poor squirrel. A squirrel who lost its paws has gotten prosthetic wheels.
Gross.
It lost its paws in a trap, and now it has prosthetic wheels. There's actually a video on the Huffington Post's website that shows the surgeon helping this poor squirrel get its legs back in a way.
Squirrel.
Cyborg squirrel. So I wonder if this squirrel are we just prolonging the inevitable by giving it these wheels?
I mean, that thing looks super creepy. It's definitely not going to reproduce like that.
It's not going to reproduce. Is it going to survive? Is it going to be able to actually survive in the wild? I feel like it's just going to fall over.
You can't climb a tree with those. Like that thing needs to stay on sidewalks, basically.
Yes.
It's a living skateboard.
Maybe it could become someone's pet squirrel.
Yeah, that.
So, or you're against giving squirrels prosthetics?
Someone with hardwood floors. It could be their pet.
Yes, yeah, that's true. You couldn't even have a carpet. Like, it couldn't survive here in this studio unless it stayed just out in the waiting area.
Or lived up here.
Yeah.
You could give it a little litter box and food tray down there.
How do you think a squirrel would do as a pet? Would you take a pet squirrel?
So I don't know about squirrels. I know raccoons are fine until they hit puberty and then they get super hostile. And I think a lot of wild animals are like that.
They get hostile like forever, or just during puberty? Is it just kind of like
forever? They're
so it's not just like a cranky, miserable teenager.
No, they don't just like slam the door a lot.
They actually
tell you don't understand.
They actually just go like crazy.
Yeah, well, they don't want to live inside anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this squirrel now, it may not have a choice. It's on wheels, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see that they're actually performing surgery on a squirrel.
Bionic upgrade. Ooh, in Turkey of all places. That's a country that's not doing anything fucking worthwhile other than fixing squirrels right now.
Well, at least they're doing something. At least they're doing something. What do you have?
So, you got any allergies, Brian?
Yes, I'm allergic to everything.
What do you think causes those? Where do you think it comes from?
That's a good question. I just kind of assumed it's your body that doesn't like certain doesn't like certain particles coming into your body, and it rejects them, and that's what causes the allergy.
Seems weirdly maladaptive. What if I told you it could be also linked to the same thing that you also wouldn't think of that might be contributing to the obesity epidemic in the U.S.?
What's that?
Bacteria?
Well, I was going to say antibiotics.
Oh.
But yes.
Okay.
So I'm on the right track.
Your ability to process foods, basically, has been greatly underestimated, right? Is it something like 40% of the cells in your body, that's not say body weight, but 40% of the cells in your body, do not share your DNA. Because they're actually other creatures, right? They live
yeah, that's true. There's like the bacteria in your gut that
Yeah.
consumes things, and there's also, I think there's bacteria in your mouth as well.
And what does an antibiotic do?
Gets rid of bacteria.
Kills bacteria.
Okay.
And so your inability to digest food, and it's, with the allergies, it's more than that, it turns out. So I'm looking at, earlier I was looking at articles in Nature and Scientific American, and basically because your immune system learns from bacteria, one of the things that it actually does is it gets an education from the bacteria living inside of you, and builds up immunities to all these different things when you're young in particular. And so antibiotics throughout your life, certainly, but also especially at a young age.
So I don't remember really. Now, of course, I was so young I wouldn't have remembered, but I don't think I had really any antibiotics at a young age. So I wonder if it covers all allergies, because I feel like certain allergies feel like they're more natural than other allergies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like peanuts is crazy.
Exactly. Like I'm not allergic to anything that's food related, but I am allergic to dust and ragweed and things like that. Pollen, artificial scents.
Some of those I always think are just related to like I always think like seems like people in my family, like Jews, have like more allergies. And I think it's just because we've been like moved around the world so many times that you're like, yeah, right.
But don't you feel like at that point you would be more immune?
No, because you evolve in one place.
I see.
And then you move somewhere else. And then right as soon as you've almost evolved to that, next place.
Okay. Because it is interesting, because a lot of times that's a good point, actually. No, that's a very good point, because somebody who has allergies like I do that are to nature and things like that, when I move down south, for example, on vacation, my allergies will disappear. Even though it's in the middle of summer, I don't have the same allergies that I do up here in the north.
And you're originally from
from Pittsburgh area. I'm originally from Westmoreland County. So
no, I meant like originally, like the place that you're humans managed to not die and reproduce for millions of years to produce you?
German, English, Spanish.
Because that's what I was thinking.
all
I'm
over.
like, yeah, like if I was allergic to something in like Israel or Belarus or whatever, like where you'd spend generations, then there's no way that we would have like I feel like I would have been thinned.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess you get allergies based on where you live. So,
But also
antibiotics. Yeah,
fucking
that does
antibiotics.
make a lot of sense. I feel like especially like allergies that kill you. I could see especially those targeting that because it just doesn't seem natural that you would be so like. There's this one person I was listening to this story. This one person who was allergic to people.
Well, all of it is just your immune system being unable to properly recognize or process that stuff. So it's like
Yeah, but somebody was allergic to people. And I'm thinking, how can you be allergic to people? She lived in an attic and her husband, well, I could see being intolerant to people, but she lived in her attic.
It's not sapioceliac. It's just or not it's not homoceliac. It's just homo intolerant.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I could see like this lady lived in her attic and her husband lived in the basement, and they talked to each other on the phone every night. They couldn't be with each other.
I would absolutely divorce that person.
He was like really committed to her. He was really.
They must have had some kind of an arrangement, if you know what I mean.
I'm going to interject here. It's romantic. Seems
Lady
like a
Jessica
romantic.
here.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
Lady Jessica in studio. She's going to
Hello.
join us for the weird news. So,
Oh, yeah. I just want
let's
to let
do
you
it.
guys do your thing. But yeah, that's pretty weird
Sure.
news.
That is
Yes.
weird, right?
Yes, it is.
It is romantic, but like I'm trying to say, if I was gonna live several times, I might engage in that kind of romance.
Yes.
Uh,
Have
my-
to be a condo building, though.
My own spiritual take on the world says that I probably only go around once. I'm not gonna spend it living in the basement of some person who won't see me.
Yeah, it would be.
Like, I'm not going to wait to get murdered.
Crazy.
Like,
So that's a weird story too. We've got a third one here. This has to do with a great festival that they have over in Japan. So what do you guys feel the best festival is here in Pittsburgh besides the Millvale Music Festival? What's the runner-up?
Ooh, I might take an opportunity to plug the Fermentation Festival.
All right.
what's that?
Like fermented foods and kimchis
I've
and
never heard of
krauts
this.
and kombuchas.
That's cool. Neither
And the
have I.
third annual one this year.
Where
I
is
don't
that
know if
at?
it already happened. It
Oh.
happened at Spirit last year, and it happened downtown at the marketplace that closed the year before that. I don't know where it was this year. Probably Spirit again.
Very cool. My top list right now would be the Millvale Music Festival and the Indie-Rockfest.
Fair.
Those are two good ones.
Those are two good
I have
ones,
bias,
yeah.
but Lady Fest is also fantastic. Deutschtown Music Festival also fantastic.
Yeah, that's great
Yes.
as well. So in Japan, they've decided to go outside of the box, and they have a national annual penis festival where they celebrate the penis, and they have giant sculptures of penises that they will parade through the streets. They have all sorts of interesting penises that
I
I've
can't
seen.
act surprised about this. I got the article
foods.
earlier. Accidentally. He's like, "Is it accident of me to send that to you?"
Yeah, so I
I'm like,
accidentally. We're here talking, and I sent Lady Jessica an article about a penis festival, and then I immediately was like, "That's the weird
Brian,
news."
we are in the Me Too moment. You can't
do that now.
you can't send the female
I have a
guests
sense of humor, and I think we bonded
the
over
penis
it.
articles.
Yes.
Well, I think that
forward.
so there's all sorts of great pictures of like penises that they have at this festival. But my favorite one is the first one that they show in this article on the Huffington Post website that shows the penis being paraded in the penis that's being paraded in this underneath this sculpture that they built, a shrine. It's a penis within a shrine, and this festival started in the 60s, and apparently it was created because people were praying to the gods not to get STDs.
Huh.
So
And
they
that is a circumcised penis too.
yeah,
What's the percentage on that in Japan?
I wouldn't
Or
know.
have we just accepted that it's a more pleasantly aesthetic decision?
Why is that turned toward you guys? No. Can't see this. What's going on?
You want to see? Here
I
we-
do. I do.
Actually, I could show all
good
the people
festival.
who are watching. So if you're listening, they have all sorts of different penis pictures. There's people who wear penis costumes, people who are about to suck
Inventive.
penis. Like you can see right here, somebody has their own penis
Somebody's got one.
handheld. And
BYOP.
yeah, you bring your own penis. and there's a
Always
penis
do.
mask.
That's cool. Looks
They
like
have
a little
somebody wearing
mushroom.
a penis mask. Penis sculptures, and this is the one I
Could
like.
rob a bank
I
with
think
that
it's the
thing.
best, where the penis is literally in its own little house
It
as
has
it
its
parades
own
down
home.
the street.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the penis has its own home that it can that they parade down. And all the people who are carrying that penis are wearing white robes, which I think is interesting. It's as if the penis is some sort of religious symbol. Maybe it is.
I think it is, yeah. Is this a challenge for Millvale Music Festival and Indie-Rockfest?
Oh, we
Have
got to
like
get
giant-
some dicks for the festival.
Giant penises
I mean,
at the festival.
it's family friendly, but there's a late night section
Well,
happening.
hey,
so.
Anatomy
But-
is not family unfriendly.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's
It's
true.
just reality,
Information,
kids.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a great teaching
This is
moment.
what a 6-foot penis looks like.
Mommy?
Now you know.
Mommy, how did you have me? That.
That thing.
Yes, right there.
Well, there has to be a song and dance involved in it then.
Yeah.
Or a
That has
chant.
to happen.
What about if there's a chant with hand
Be a little
motions?
aggressive.
You think a chant's too aggressive?
But you know what? You just have to try it first. You know.
I feel like you
Gets
get
good
different
reaction.
colors, and you can get. That was one thing actually. The penis mask I liked on here because it reminds me of the bridge hats that they wore during the Bridge Festival. Did you see that?
No.
When they yarned the bridge. Did you see the bridge yarning?
I saw the yarn
Yeah,
bridge.
so they
I didn't
had
see the hats.
they had a festival on the bridge. They closed the bridge down and had a giant party, and this marching band marched along the bridge playing music, and they wore bridge hats. So we could, you
Too
could do
far,
the same
man.
thing. You think it's too
You
far?
mean hats that
I
are
liked it.
shaped as bridges?
Yes.
No, penis hats.
Penis hats. You think that's too
Bridge
far?
is the new street term. I don't know. I don't know. In the 1940s.
That guy's got a mighty bridge, I betcha.
Oh, that's exactly right. You have to wink after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me and my girlfriend were watching the Geordie Shore recently, which is the Jersey Shore for Brits.
Oh, okay.
And there's one
That's
guy's
cool.
like,
I'd want to watch
like,
that.
"Well, the end of the season, I'll have every gal in this town swinging from me chopper." I was like, "Oh my god, this is appalling."
Wow.
Yeah, it's horrific. And then
I'm intrigued though. So.
I was spreading the Geordie gospel at my job, and the 20-year-old dishwasher who never says anything, he's so quiet, takes me aside afterwards. He's like, "I know what you're talking about, man. I watched the Geordie Shore." He's like, "You know what you gotta check out? So you gotta check out Buck Wild." And I was like, "What is Buck Wild?" And so me and my girlfriend go watch that, and it is redneck Jersey Shore down in West Virginia. And we're like, "This is amazing," and it's incredible, and we're like hooked on it. And I come back in, I tell this restaurant, I'm like, "We love it. We love Buck Wild." And he goes, "Yeah, man, it's just too bad." I was like, "Wait," it's like, turns out this dude who's like mudding and making like spoiler alert, actually like ultimate spoiler alert. This guy who is y'all know what mudding is? It's like when you take
Don't.
this guy when you take your pickup truck.
Oh, yeah.
And you drive.
I used
through
to have
the
a Jeep
woods
Wrangler, we
in-
would do that, yeah.
like into giant puddles after a rainstorm and stuff. One of the main characters passed away in a mudding accident.
Oh, wow.
After the close of the first season, so there was just one season. He's basically the Bradley Noel of reality TV, and Buck Wild is his sublime. Right in the first.
Wow.
Just as they
Probably on the same
It's funny.
intellectual level too.
You
Hey,
mentioned
you watch it on Sublime, all right?
you mentioned mudding, and it kind of reminded me of this old Jeep. Muddin, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
It reminded me of this old Jeep festival that I used to go to when I had a Jeep Wrangler, and it was great because they had an area set up for mudding, and they had a Jeep there with a towing aspect, like a towing thing built into it to tow the Jeep out if it would get stuck mudding. And then they had a tow truck next to that
Smart.
Jeep to pull both of them out if the Jeep with the tow truck couldn't pull the other Jeep
They
out
must
of
have
the...
had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
there.
So it was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
you
But
don't just set something like this up. This comes from, yeah.
well, it was crazy, this festival,
judgment.
because they have all of these things that you can buy for the Jeep and all of these different Jeep tents and a bunch of different Jeeps around and a Jeep parade. It's crazy. It was a lot of fun. So, but that is your weird news. 3 weird stories. Hopefully we did a good job with all of the allergies and the penis festival. Imagine if you were allergic to penis at the penis festival.
You live a lonely life.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, you see, there is a condition where you could be allergic to semen. It's very,
Wow.
very unfortunate. for the
Actually,
ladies out
I have
there.
known, in the biblical sense, a number of people. That wasn't how I originally meant it, but then
Does
I
that
was
mean
like,
someone else dies though? It's like
dies.
Well, like you can't like. There's a lack of life, so now it has to be like.
Oh, see,
That's
this
a movie
this
idea.
this was not
I don't know.
a fatal allergy, but I have dated a series of people where oftentimes, and I never knew whether it was me or them, but would like in places that semen would wind up on their skin, it would turn red.
Oh wow,
Yes,
that's crazy.
not like bright, but like like
Yeah, still,
yeah.
that's wild.
Pretty
So
wild story. Yeah.
we've got Lady Jessica here in
Hello.
studio,
Great segue. Thank
And-
you so much. Appreciate that. Yep. Hello.
and she's not going to be performing at the Penis Festival,
No, not
but
this
she
year.
is performing at a couple other festivals
I
coming
am.
up,
Yes, I am.
including the Indie Rock Festival, which is April 14th.
April 14th.
Starts at 4 p.m. and you play at
We're the first act.
the
so
first
either,
act. All
I
right.
would imagine close to that time.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So I'm excited about this. Is this your first time at the Indie-Rockfest?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes.
So are you excited?
Very much.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be very cool.
I
So
know.
what are you looking for? Who out on the list are you looking forward to hearing?
Yeah. So Bad Custer.
They were just in studio.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I saw a couple. Yeah. So we've actually never played a show with them, but we think their Instagram's like super swell, and we're like, you guys are funny. Like we like you guys. You're funny. So I'm excited to like see a live performance, see a show, meet and greet, and hang out. BB Guns as well. For sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be very cool
So.
too. So there's so many great bands that are performing at this festival this year.
There are some good ones.
So
yeah.
I'm very excited. That's gonna
Yes.
be again April 14th at 4
April
p.m. So you can even go. You can go to Neon Swing Experience on the 13th, and then Indie Rock on the 14th.
You have a whole weekend.
So an entire weekend of great music.
Yes.
So I'm very excited about this. I'm excited to see you perform there, and it's nice because I'm off on Saturday nights, so I'll be there the whole time, which is
Nice.
exciting.
That's good.
So what do you have prepared for us on the 14th?
On the 14th, so Sun Hound, which is keys, drums, rock duo. And we have some new songs, which we're very excited to play. So I've performed a couple. Thank you so much. I was going to ask, I was like, should I shout? But I don't
you
want to
can bring it in.
interrupt.
Yeah, go.
Bring it in. That's better. That feels nice. Okay. But some new songs. Couple renditions I think we are going
Any
to
songs
do.
I haven't heard?
Yes.
Really?
Songs that you have
Wow.
not heard.
That's great.
Yes. So, yeah. One's called Drifting Off. Yeah.
What is that about? Is it about drifting off to sleep?
No,
So I'm all about that.
you know what? We talk about daydreaming, so it's kind of like that, but like
Okay.
you're awake during this. So it's like, where's Jess? Like, oh, I'm in my mind, like completely lost from this present
Oh, that's
time
cool.
and space. And it happens sometimes, to Nicole and I both. We're like, what, huh? And yeah, it
That
happens.
kind of happens to me, but it's due to extreme sleep deprivation. Though.
Really?
I'll be there. Yeah, so I'm at work and I have to key on this computer, and then I'll be sitting there, and then all of a sudden I'll look, and I've got 36s because I fell asleep on the 6th key, but my eyes are still awake.
It's like a cartoon.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I want like a meme of that.
That happens
Like,
all the time.
Happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll happen like multiple times in just like a 5-minute
You
span.
really need to get more sleep.
Yeah. He does.
Yeah. Well, I got a
We
lot of
all
sleep
do.
today, as I said.
Him
so.
especially.
Yeah, that happens all the time where you've never fallen asleep with your eyes open.
No, Brian.
I've seen people do that before, though.
Oh, I've seen it. No,
Like, what's going on,
He'll
guys?
go days and just sleep for like 2 and 3 hours at a time, like throughout. Like, especially when like the Millvale, like when music festivals or any big event he's working on come up, the first thing to go is sleep.
Well, you got to get things done, right?
Power through it.
That's right.
Warrior. Then you have a story to tell.
I won't get
You
much
know?
sleep on that Saturday, so
It's preparation.
Exactly.
For the next month. There you go.
So yeah, I'm excited. The Indie Rock Fest, it's coming up. It's coming strong. I'm very excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah.
Shout out to Standard Broadcast also.
Yes.
And Nathan from
Nathan
that.
who
yes.
put this all together.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Nathan J. He does
Yes.
a great job.
Yes.
So yeah, this is our second year involved with
Yeah,
the
he's
River's Edge.
Texting at us things.
Yeah, he's messaging us right
Oh,
now.
hi. Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks.
He says
Cool.
Crawford for mayor ? Eggplant. What's the other one?
I don't know. Looks like
Eggplant.
a surprise. Oh, okay.
Fire,
Yeah,
fire.
it's
oh,
the
eggplant. Party.
Is it
the party
eggplant
symbol.
emoji?
He's
Yeah.
messaging us on
I
the
love
Facebook
eggplant
Live
emojis.
tweet. So if you're listening
Call
to
my
us,
cat an eggplant.
you can go to the River Talk page and you can see the conversation there as well. So yeah, I'm excited. So new music, which I've never heard, which I'm very excited about.
Yes.
The daydreaming one I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You always have like a very your music's very funky, I would say.
It's pretty
which
funky.
I like.
Yeah. Groovy, funky. Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's a lot of funk in Pittsburgh. Maybe I'm wrong. There's a lot of great music in Pittsburgh, but I don't hear a lot of that funky sound that you bring to the stage.
I think we have like a rock funk thing, but there's a lot of funk in
There
this
is a lot of
city
funk, but
that
yours
needs to
is
be
kind
more.
of unique in a way.
Well, thanks.
Don't you think?
I would let you say that.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
I think it's always going to be kind of individual to us because we're only like a keyboard and drums
Yeah.
and vocals. So just that sound, the genres that we cover and this like instruments that we have, it kind of lends itself to, it's always going to sound a little bit
Yeah, I'm excited.
different.
What do you have in store for the music festival, for Millvale Music Festival? Because you're
That's gonna
indie
be
rock,
fun. Yeah.
and then you're also going to be performing like a million times at the Millvale Music Festival.
Not a
too.
million times. Not
Something like
no,
that.
No, if you said, "Would you like to perform a million times?" I'd say let's extend time, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm going to be with Sun Hound at 11 a.m. on the Gap Park stage, the main stage, one of the main stages.
There's one of
There are
them.
two,
Yeah,
right?
There's a few.
There's a few.
Yeah.
So humble. There's just a few. Just a few main stages. That's all. So it's at 11 a.m. and then 1 p.m. I'm doing a solo set at Tazadoro.
Yes.
That's lower key, not as funky, but a little more lyrically focused. And Sunhound, just we want to make you dance.
So what I
We
want
won't
to
make you dance.
and what I want to do at Tazadora is I want to lift the 2 garage doors. So that way, whenever
was
you're
gonna
going
ask
to
you.
sing, yeah. But my goal is I'd like to put the musician in the corner, have the 2 garage doors open, so as people are walking down the street, they can
Oh,
hear
that's
the music.
cool. Like
Yeah.
closest to the sidewalk, like where they're.
Yes,
That's awesome.
that's what I want to
Yeah.
do. I think that would be cool.
think that would be very cool. Yeah. And then 11 p.m. also, Sunhound is doing a short set at the after party. So,
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I think it's a test though. Like, can they do it?
Oh, can they do it? Yeah.
How much alcohol can you not drink to be able
to do it?
to do that? So,
That
It'll
is
be a day.
always a thing with performers. I recently booked a comedy show on what I found out was going to be St. Patrick's Day and promptly moved it to the previous day because I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to try to keep 3 comics sober enough to perform until
that's what's so
8
crazy to
p.m.
me.
on a Saturday. I underestimated St. Patrick's Day, thinking I could move it just back to the next Friday, and just back to Friday. And
They were still drunk.
they were not that drunk, but
Okay,
the
they weren't drunk.
audience, the venue I had at did not serve alcohol. And
Oh, okay.
so a little sparsely attended.
Yeah, that makes it difficult. So, Indie-Rockfest, I'm hoping we shouldn't run into that issue there. Everyone's there is a professional, but it always does stun me whenever
they're
you
profesh. Yes.
when you go to an event and I've heard stories where a band member is too drunk to perform, so they have to cancel the
yeah,
set.
that happens.
I've always wondered how do you allow that to happen? How does a band member allow that to happen?
Well, there's nobody preventing it, I
Yeah.
think. Actually, some people I believe don't get as drunk as like you just need to eat a sandwich, like eat dinner
Yeah.
and then
Right.
go drink. I've learned that the hard way. So,
So, are you one of those people? Because that's how I justify things. I either need sleep or food to function.
Yeah.
Is that how you are? Can you go without one as long as you get the other?
I actually never thought about that. That's something to think about.
Because
Yeah.
they both give you energy.
Well, I know that when I get less sleep, but I have a really great night, my next day is amazing. It's like my soul was like, ooh, that was amazing.
cleansed,
so now,
yeah.
so now you have energy, like poof. So everybody go get drunk and stay out all night and have a great time because you're going to have a great day the next day.
Did you say you have more than one new song that you're going to be performing at the Indie-Rockfest?
Yeah,
What
we have
else
a
do
few.
you have?
So there's a song called "Angels on Your Body," which has a story behind it. But it's
What is
it's
that story?
What is that story? So my friends Nicole and our friend Zay were watching a documentary about I think some kind of religious aspect of some sort, and I wasn't even there for it. That's the funniest part. But they were like, something, angels on your body. Like, have a great day, angels on your body. Like, prayers and blessings to you. We were just like, having an ailment, pretty drunk, angels on your tummy, like having a problem, feeling bad, angels on your mind. So basically it's just like, like a health and wellness song for all.
Gotcha.
And that's how you say it. And that's how you say it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's I do that solo and with Sun Hound, so it's our second time that we'll be performing it live.
Very cool.
So yeah.
That's exciting.
I know.
So the first time I met these guys was at the Geppetto's Cafe, actually. It's the first time I heard you. You were playing before Clay McLeod.
Yeah.
And
That's a
when
throwback, yeah.
That's the first time that I ran into you guys and saw you perform.
Yes.
So, which is really cool. It's interesting because how long ago was that? That was a while ago.
That was a while ago, and actually Nicole was running sound.
Yeah, she was.
I was performing and she was running sound, which
That's
was like a
right.
whole new thing.
Yes.
Got to get her doing more of that. She's good
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
It was a fun place. That was the first time I was introduced to that venue as well, which is that cafe, I should say. Do they play music there a lot? I feel like they don't do it a lot.
You know what? Not recently that I've heard of, and I should probably give them a call.
Yeah,
and see if we can do
it's
that.
a beautiful place.
Yeah.
They have great coffee, which I love, and the food there is fantastic as well. The crepes, they have these savory crepes, which I love because I'm not a big sweets person, but they have these savory crepes that were just out of this world.
Do they still have the paninis? They had like a
don't know.
sriracha chicken panini that was like, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Now everybody's like, I'm hungry.
Yeah, even Alexa was saying something.
Alexa. Oh, sorry, girl.
It's okay. She's active and talking to
She's
us.
hanging out.
So we'll have to remember to mute her. I forgot about that.
Alexa, call Jeff Bezos.
Don't do that. No, we're talking to an Alexa in the studio for those of you, because I don't think everybody can hear the Alexa.
Ooh, but maybe other people's Alexas can hear
Or
us.
can they? Oh,
Alexa, call Jeff Bezos. His phone just erupts.
are we here?
That would be funny. I wonder if he even has an Alexa. Well, she probably doesn't even have an Alexa.
My mom has an Alexa, and she was like, "Oh, check this out! I'm gonna have her play jazz music or something." And I'm like, "Okay," and it just freaked me out because she's not very like technologically like involved. And then like all of a sudden Alexa's there, and I'm like, "Okay, so."
Yeah, no.
Can listen to Diana Krall all night.
It's funny because it's actually called an Amazon Echo, but everybody refers to it as an Alexa because that's the name of the AI.
It's like an old
that's
person
behind it.
thing.
Yeah, no, it's the perfect
like-
thing for people who are not technically savvy to be taken advantage of while feeling like they're technically savvy.
I should maybe start because
You know what? The way they take
yeah.
advantage of me, I like it because I just bought a Bluetooth car radio for $20. So if that's how they're going to take
Jamming.
advantage of me, then
No, harvesting your all your personal information is how not by charging you $20
for a radio.
fine.
Alexa, play the River's Edge radio station.
She can do that out
Yeah.
Just
there.
practicing.
She can.
Just
Right now,
practicing.
this one's muted. So it's actually Alexa, play the River's Edge station on TuneIn. But we're gonna make it soon, so that way you can make. We're gonna try to make that easier once the music festival's over and I have some time to sit in front of a computer and work on some things. But
And sleep.
sleep, yeah.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
And,
Yeah.
and that I guess.
Never.
If I have
Nope.
time, yeah. But I am excited about getting some new functions. So we are going to be looking to add some new things to the smart home capabilities. So with the River's Edge, so that's on its way. Very excited about that. So
I'll make
should
sure
be
to
cool.
come out underneath my rock then.
Yeah,
Try that out.
and don't let a
Yeah.
rock fall on you. 'Cause that,
Only a rock in a hard place is the only time.
if a
that
rock falls on you,
something-
you could end up
something-
dying. And if you end up dying,
You wanna go to Han's funeral home?
Yeah. the
Uh-oh.
only family-owned
Nice
funeral
Millvale
home
plug there.
in Millvale. They specialize in green burials.
Yeah.
So
Which if a rock falls on you, you know a green burial was meant to be. Yeah, no, Han's Funeral Home is actually the only family-run funeral home in
Millvale.
In Millvale.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are others that are perfectly nice, but they're the ones I
Well,
would
you've
trust
got
with
those-
my green burial.
We've got those corporate hog funeral homes. No, we want to go to a family-owned funeral
Yeah.
home.
Oh, no,
only
yeah.
family-owned. So it is the time for the judging segment. We still need to find a theme song for that.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, we need
Judgment.
something
Dun,
intense.
dun.
intense, yeah.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
We're in a
dun.
movie. Yep. Dun, dun, dun,
So this is the segment where Michael comes with multiple topics for I, Brian Crawford, the honorable judge here in Millvale. I was a celebrity judge, handpicked to be a celebrity judge in the South Hills. And ever since then, I've been judging things on a weekly basis. So we've got several topics that I will judge, and we will wrap the show up with that. And Zach, if you could look in the external drive for a Neon Swing X-perience song, we're going to end the show with one of their tunes. But what do we have for me to judge?
All right, well, we'll start with, speaking of being taken advantage of, a lot of people are talking about deleting their Facebooks, talking about moving away from Facebook in the wake of all the other things we've been discussing on our past shows.
Like Cambridge Analytica.
Yes, particularly Cambridge Analytica. Which, again, I've been ranting about since last January, and no one cared, and now everyone... Anyway. But people are migrating to other social media platforms is the thing, right? And one of the big ones they're migrating to is Instagram, which is owned by Facebook.
Yes.
So if the goal... And granted, people don't necessarily share the same kinds of things they share. I mean, they share more scantily clads and nudes on Instagram than on Facebook, but maybe
that's still data that's useful.
Yeah, the word
the
for word information. Is it any better?
It's owned by Facebook.
Is
no.
the goal to hit them in the pocket? I mean, I guess I don't understand the goal of deleting Facebook. I mean, I understand the goal, but I think we missed the mark. So I guess my question is, Instagram, is it guilty of being as bad as Facebook?
It's owned by Facebook, so I'm going to come down with a judgment of guilty because it's in the same ecosystem. They've connected the two. You can post on Instagram and immediately will connect to Facebook. So I'm going to vote for guilty, but I'm going to come up with a second judgment. The people who are switching from Facebook to Instagram, they are guilty of stupidity and incompetence, and I'm coming down with a guilty plea, and I am banning them from social media.
Oh,
they're banned from social media.
Just
now.
to be clear, we're both still on Facebook, right?
We are, yeah,
and Instagram, right?
Yes, but we're not.
So we've got no moral high horse here. We're just
what I'm saying is we're not stupid enough to think that switching from Facebook to Instagram when Facebook owns Instagram is any better. We've just accepted the fact that we're going to keep with both. So
right.
I feel like that's okay. Maybe we're dumb for staying with both.
Also,
but
yeah. Well, we're coerced. That's the problem.
That's the
you
thing.
have what you call the network effect, right?
Yeah.
Ted Kaczynski talks about this with automobile culture. How when a new technology is introduced, at first it provides a greater freedom to the few people who have it, but then society becomes structured around it, right? So at first, cars just mean that a few people can move faster if they have more money. But eventually, society becomes structured around these things, and then you have to have one.
It's actually a really
to keep
great
up.
comparison because Facebook started out as being just available for universities, and then it became open to everybody. And it was just the younger generation that was doing it, and now everybody's doing it. Right. I've got an aunt who's in her 70s that's on Facebook.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't maintain a web page anymore and hope that people will come to your web page to see when your events are. Email lists are even who under the age of 35 or 40 actually has time to go through all. You know what I mean? And so as the longer Facebook is there, the more time older apparatuses for promotion
start to disappear or become ineffective.
Atrophy is the word I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And so we're in between a rock and a hard place. It's like with a smartphone. My job expects me to be able to check the schedule on the internet semi-regularly.
Yeah.
And respond to messages and things like that.
Well, it's with the Millvale Music Festival, we all use a communication system called Slack, and if you don't have Slack on your phone, it's very difficult to keep up with things.
So I almost feel like instead of trying to boycott, we should be treating Facebook more like we would treat something like the government, right? Where we're not going to get rid of it. We're not going to boycott it because you physically can't, because it actually has a level of dominance over the geographic area that we live in, and maybe more of a protest or coercion-based.
Well, I would just like to see them be regulated. I would love to see Facebook regulated.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the way that market capitalism moves in the direction of. So that's probably...
It could happen. They're talking about it.
All right. Next, speaking of the government, the new census doesn't ask people whether or not they're LGBT. And I guess I've heard two...
Oh, it doesn't or does ask?
Does not.
Okay.
And so some people are arguing that it's a way of invisibilizing that population, right?
Does it ask you if you're married? or single, the census?
I don't know.
Because I feel like that's an important question. Because if they're not asking you that, then I don't see where the people have a base for argument. Because, well, even then it's actually, because marriage is legal among the same sex now too.
So the argument for them asking is basically that the census is how resources are provided.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's special medical or social infrastructure that's necessary, then the census would provide that. The argument against it, I would say there's a paranoid and a not paranoid argument. The argument against it is essentially, why? If you are pushing to be equal, then why also push to be stand out? Also, and maybe my own paranoid argument is, why do you want to be registering with this administration?
Yeah.
Like, given I when I started doing comedy, I actually had a joke about like, now it was when gay marriage was when they were fighting to legalize gay marriage. And I was like, I'm not, on the off chance that America takes a swing in the direction of hard right, and this was a few years ago, I was like, do you want to have like registered with the federal government your
it's funny you
Or
bring
is that
that
the
up
new
because
Facebook?
What?
Boom, boom. I said, or is that the new Facebook?
Right.
it
You
could
know?
be. Well, here's the thing that's interesting about that. You bring up a really interesting point that I had heard from liberals. Well, it's actually conservatives kind of mocking the liberal perspective, and they actually bring up a good point. All of the liberals out there have always consistently referred to Trump as Hitler, which I always thought was kind of a pretty weird thing to say. But I don't like Trump. But
It's like Voldemort. Just like, don't say his name.
So anyways, they've compared Trump to
but-
Hitler, and they're also the same group that want Trump to take away the guns. And the first thing that Hitler did in Germany, one of the first things he did was he took away the guns from the population. So the conservatives now are mocking the liberals, like really, you call this guy Hitler, but you want him to take your guns? It's kind of an interesting. And in that point, they do bring up a good point. And do you really want?
I mean, the hypocrisies of the established
ideologies,
and left are no.
Yeah,
they're never ending.
No. So with that one. The question you're asking me for
the question is ooh, I don't. Ooh,
how should I judge the census?
People giving us actual comments here? No, they're just watching.
No, they're watching.
Is it necessary to include on a census?
Ooh.
So are you judging me? Am I judging the census in its
Is that
current
the question?
form? Is that what you want me to judge? I'm going to judge the current census.
All other things absent, because the current census also asks about undocumented people living with you, which I'm firmly against. So not in its current form per se.
Well, they are also adding a question on immigration, whether you're a legal immigrant or not.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You don't like that they're adding that?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
No.
No.
See, I have mixed feelings on that, because if they're illegal, should they really be counted in your representation in Congress?
Well, and that's okay, but also if someone is illegal and minding their own business and you convince them to, if you're like, yes, I'm an illegal immigrant, then you're going to have problems.
True.
And so essentially you're putting them in this weird double bind where they can either admit that they're breaking the law or commit an additional offense.
That's true.
So I'm.
But on the flip side of that perspective, you're getting more representation in Congress for people that aren't citizens.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool. Then you would have states trying to get
Illegal
undocumented
immigrants.
immigrants to move to their states. This might actually be just the thing we need, right?
I don't know. I'm in favor of easing up maybe the immigration practices, but I'm not in favor of creating a free-for-all either. So
No one's arguing for a free-for-all. I'm arguing for a free-for-all. No one's arguing for a free-for-all.
I'm going to roll... I'm
saw
going to
a
throw the
meme.
case out because I really don't know where I stand
Fair
on it. I have
enough.
mixed feelings on that.
I love everybody, so.
Well, you can love everybody too, but you also don't leave
in
your
my
doors
house.
unlocked at house, do you? Do you leave your doors unlocked at home?
I saw
When I forget sometimes.
When you forget, sure.
Yes.
I saw a meme that I loved the other day. Y'all know Hans Moleman from The Simpsons? That
Which
guy-
character is he?
He always talks like this.
Oh, yes. Okay.
He's like tiny. He's bald, and he's and
Okay, with the glasses.
And there's that episode where Mr. Burns having his birthday party, and everyone's going, boo! And Burns is like, are they booing me, Smithers? And Smithers is like, no one's booing you. So he's like, it sounds like they're booing me. And he's like, no. They're saying, boo Earns, boo Earns. He goes, it sounds like they're saying boo. And he goes, no one's saying boo. And then, fuck. Anyway, he's like, no one's saying, he's like, no one's saying boo Earns. And then Hans was like, I was saying boo Earns. And there's this little meme where it's got, was it like conservatives, like liberals want to abolish all borders. And then liberals, no one's saying abolish all borders. And then me. And then it's little Hans going, I was saying abolish all borders.
That's funny. What else do we have? Any
Sorry. I've been totally lost in lo-fi instrumental hip-hop streams on YouTube lately. They're the greatest thing, or they are my favorite thing to relax to. Are they great or the greatest?
Well, I'm in favor of all internet streams, so I'm going to say that they are. I'm going to say great because I haven't heard them yet. But I'm going to give them a positive. I'm going to rule in favor of them, and they are not guilty of. Well, no. I'm going to actually rule that they are guilty of destroying old bad radio, which I hope that we're guilty of that as well. So.
All right.
I don't know if that's good or bad yet, actually. I have to think about that.
Our last one today is the first actual criminal case that I'm going to bring in front of you.
Okay.
In our 3 or 4 weeks of doing this now. Probably a total of 20 stories, and this is the first one that's an actual criminal case. Have you heard of Count Dankula?
No, but it sounds hilarious.
Count Dankula is a Scottish man who is somewhere around center or center right.
Okay.
His girlfriend got a very cute dog, talked at length about how cute the dog was, and so he turns on his YouTube and he starts filming and he says, my girlfriend won't stop talking about how cute her new dog is. As a joke, I thought it'd be really funny to teach this very cute dog to do something terrible. And I was like, and what's the worst thing, right? The Nazis. And so he's taught this dog to raise its paw when he says Heil Hitler or gas the Jews. And then proceeds to show you in the video this dog repeatedly raising its paw in response to these sentences. And so not everywhere, almost nowhere, has the First Amendment interpreted the way that we do here in the States. Well, they don't have it. And Europe, for obvious reasons, has hate speech laws and take a kind of different take on free speech because of their...
Yeah, really, there's nowhere else in the world that has the free speech laws that we do.
Well, and, we kind of have the privilege of still approaching it that way because we haven't recognized or, we haven't had ethnic cleansing here yet. So...
Well, besides the Native American thing.
Not this century.
Fair. Okay, yes. We haven't had an ethnic cleansing that happened based on a rhetoric stir. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Except for Manifest Destiny.
Yeah.
It wasn't recent.
Okay, let me rephrase that. We haven't gone from a time of relative stability and peace into a period of ethnic cleansing the way that many countries have.
Yes, okay.
I think maybe one of, I won't say the saddest things, but one really sad thing I'd say about that particular cleansing is that it was mostly like the brutally cold conscience of economics in a lot of ways. Anyway, sorry, this just got so dark. The point is...
It's got deep.
My point is,
deep.
it's not supposed to be...
I was feeling, man.
Yeah. But no, so the question is, right, this guy says in it that it's a joke. He acknowledges that the Nazis are the worst fucking thing, right? So people are arguing that it is clear that he is not a Nazi sympathizer. And yet, the argument... and yet he is being charged and has been convicted of hate speech and advocating for ethnic cleansing and is looking at up to a year in prison.
Wow.
Sounds like animal cruelty, legitimately, though. Like, why would you? animals have feelings. I don't think that they intellectualize it like we do, but don't teach a dog to do
Well, I
that.
think it's a dumb thing to do, and I will say I'm opposed to the idea of teaching your dog to do something like that, but I'm going to come down with a not guilty because I'm in favor of free speech laws, and I do think that a lot of the free speech laws in other places, including Europe, tend to be a little bit oppressive in some ways. And though I don't have to agree with what he's doing, I also don't agree with the fact that he's in jail for saying something. So,
I don't
or
think he's
teaching a
gone to
dog
jail
something.
yet, but he was convicted,
Right,
and
yeah.
sentencing is going to be in another month.
he's
or
facing
so.
up
Either
to
way,
a
I don't
year
think
in
you should be
prison.
charged with anything for teaching your dog something stupid. I think if you leave your dog out in the cold to die, and again, I don't agree with what he's teaching the dog at all. I always feel the best response to bad speech is more speech, not silencing people. And I feel like you can't change
I
anyone's
respect
mind.
his objectivity.
So, yeah.
Good. You're good with your gavel.
Thank you.
Well,
That
you're
is
welcome.
the judging segment. What all shows do we have coming up besides the Indie-Rockfest on April 14th?
So this Wednesday, the April 11th at Howlers, Sun Hound will be there. And May 9th at Arsenal Bowling Lanes, we
That's
will be
right,
hanging out. Yeah, rocking out. June 1st at the Park House.
Very cool.
Yes.
How about you, Michael? What do you have coming up?
For in-town shows, not a whole lot. I just scheduled the third and probably final for the year Laugh Riot, punk-themed comedy at the Roboto Project, and it's going to be with John Dick Winters, Helen Wildy, and Tyler Ray Kendrick on May 11th.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I will be on some upcoming podcasts. One I recorded with you, Lady Jessica,
Yes.
and that is going to be the Pittsburgh Backstreet Guitar. I'll also be on AwesomeCast coming up. I'll get you that information as well. So lots of show appearances for me that are going to be on the way. So you can stay tuned for all of that. And Zach, anything new from the Metal Edge? Zach Fell, our engineer here tonight.
No, but I might have a new job soon, so
Yeah, there we go.
Whoa.
So lots of good stuff.
that's been my focus the last month.
Yes, finding a new place of employment. So, wish I could do that, but I'm making too much money doing nothing. So,
Spiritually rich, man.
I don't know about that.
You're
Not
like,
where
I
I'm
don't
at.
know.
feel like
No,
it's
it's bad.
spiritual rot where I'm at.
Wait. Are you presently employed or no?
Yeah, I've been
okay.
employed.
All
Yeah.
right. Sorry, you said doing
Yeah, I
nothing,
do
and
stuff.
I was like, you on the unemployment, bro?
No, I'm employed. We just don't really do much where I
He
work.
works for the
Gotcha.
man.
Yeah. So, all right. So, thank you to Lady Jessica. Thank you to
Thank you,
the
guys.
Neon Swing Experience. Thank you to Zach Fell. For Michael Cohen, I'm Brian Crawford. This is River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. We're going to end the show with a song from the Neon Swing Experience, and then we've got local music up next, right here on the River's Edge.
This is Tragically Uncool.
I smoke a pipe, I wear an old man's hat. Think I'm a loser, I don't care about that. I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Well, I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Hey, I'm tragically uncool, but I'm playing man for no fool. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Ha, ha. Two-tone shoes and a white suit. I'm dressed strange, but your point is moot. I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Well, I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Hey, I'm tragically uncool, but don't be playing me for no fool. Come on. Getting out for me is going to the mall. I always listen to Jethro Tull. I got a tattoo, but it's not hard ass. Say please and thanks, cause I got some class. Well, when you see me going, don't stop and stare. The world already knows that I'm kinda square. I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Well, I'm I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Hey, I'm tragically uncool. I'm a blam bam mono fool. I play the trumpet, not the guitar. A Subaru is my favorite car. I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Well, I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Hey, I'm tragically uncool. I'm a blam bam mono fool. Let's go. I'm tragically uncool. Tragically uncool. Well, I'm tragically uncool.